Okay, so hi and welcome back to another part where I will discuss a little bit more about combat. Why? Because it's really important part of this game, of the silhouette system in general. It's really easy to get, it's really easy to narrate, and it's a lot of fun for GMs. And why? About that soon. Let's come back to Boris. As I said, oh yeah, I forgot to mention one more very important thing. If at your skills and at your attributes, you may have attributes that correspond to skills that you have currently on level 1. But what that gives you, that if you don't roll a fumble, even if you are creative enough or agile enough, even if your score is like 2 or 3, which is low, but your character is like fit, is like strong, or is very creative, even without a proper skill, you may come up with something. You can climb up the rope, although you never did any climbing. You can cook a decent meal, although you never took a cooking class. You can find something on in I don't know, in some network or something. I don't mean hacking, but you may get some patterns just because you're creative or you're intelligent enough. You can be influential, you can be charismatic, although you don't need to have your diplomacy skill on high level, and still you can come up with a decent result. That idea I really like in Silhouette. Why? Because that means although you may specialize in some field, you don't feel like a total ass. Okay? You don't feel like you absolutely suck and drag behind your team. You are pretty much decent, and if you develop your character properly, and even if you develop your character to be specialized guy, well, you don't lose actual flexibility to do other things. What absolutely many of games like forget. So let's go back to Boris. As for that, I will present you with small arms and defense. Okay, it's like small arms is shooting all the small weapons, and for defense we have like dodge or something. But back to the case. In Silhouette, you roll for initiative every damn round. Why? Because everything changes, and that encourages your character to actually develop not only in combat but also in having a combat sense. There is a skill actually named combat sense, and it is created in regard to you handling all the shit going on. So it's not like you rolled an initiative in the beginning of battle and then you stick with it. No, it's important to develop your character in a way so that you gain the upper hand above your enemy, even if you have a superior sniper against yourself, which is absolutely badass when it comes to shooting. But if you win your initiative, you may either attack him first or just use your round to flee, and he won't use his his superb shooting skill on you, and that's the point. So you have equal chances, and it's still very realistic as for that. But what you really need are those two tables? Now, we're gonna get to this soon. Let's say Boris sees some bad guy rolling out of the tavern and trying to mug an old lady. I know it's cliche, but hey, it's just an example. So what he does, he takes out his Socroco, what? Goddamn, Great Dog revolver, which is a really badass weapon as I see it. And he points at the bad guy and says, "Hey you, like, leave that on." So the bad guy appears to be, well, Boris' clone. I know it's a cliche to reuse the same character for defensive and offensive purposes, but, well, it's just faster. Yeah, so he's Boris' clone. I mean, only statistically. And he's also big, and he just, clearly wants to fight. He's probably drunk or something. So what Boris does after winning initiative roll, he looks at his small arms. Well, he has only one level, so he rolls one dice. Oh, that's a pretty decent roll. 5. He gets his 5, he applies his modifier of his attribute, +2, and he has result of 7. Isn't that great? Now his enemy, his complete clone of Boris, and Boris, well, he would suck in a gunfight because he doesn't have any kind of dodge skill. Well, that's bad. If he doesn't have a dodge skill, then he rolls on an untrained skill of dodge. When he rolls an untrained skill, he rolls 2 dices and takes the lower number. Oh, which is 5. Quite good. So it's 7 to 5. Now let's remember that. So Boris is attacker, and his score is 7. Now we look at the range. Well, every weapon in silhouette, which is distance weapon, or range weapon, has the range barrier. That means sorry. That means up to 4 meters, let's say, it's a short range, up to 8 meters, medium, 16, long, and extreme range 32. You can see it's really simple. Every another range barrier is actually double the first, what is great to quickly scale everything. I like it very much. Yeah. So let's say he's at the short range. Okay, not at point blank, but up to, let's say, 4 meters. So Boris apply any modifier. Well, short range is plus or minus 0. He applies nothing really. Was he stationary? Yes, attacker was stationary. He rolls 0. I mean, he gets a 0 as a modifier. Was he intoxicated? Not really. Boris was sober. What was the lightning? Just normal. Was he aiming? No, he just pulled his gun and shot. Is there any weapon accuracy modifier? Well, we look at not really. It's 0. That means, well, pretty much, do you have any kind of scope or red dot, something like this? No, it's just basic revolver, so no. So Boris' score is still 7. Defender. Was the defender stationary? Yes, he was. He was standing next to the old lady and mugging her. So because he was stationary, he gets, well, a penalty of -1. So his score 5 now goes to score 4. Oh wait, score 4. Was he behind cover? Well, let's say yes, he was. There was a barrel, a stereotypical barrel, a cliche that is in every movie and has to be in every back alley. So yeah, he gets +1 point of defense. So his score is back to 5. Was he intoxicated? Yes, he was a little bit intoxicated, so he gets penalty of 1. His score goes back to 4. Now it's 7 to 4. That gives Boris margin of success of 3. 3 points, that's a lot. Now, what happens now is Boris looks at his weapon table and looks at his damage multiplier. In Silhouette system, every weapon has their damage multipliers. Okay, that means he takes his multiplier value, checks his margin of success, which is 3, and multiplies it. 3 times 20 means 60. That's a lot of damage. If you look now at physical status, every character has a stamina value, which is also derived of the attributes and additional rules that Silhouette has listed in every game based on the system. So stamina is equal to your deep wound value, half of this is your flesh wound value, and double of this is your instant death. Also, there's system shock table, which kind of describes your body endurance, so to speak, and such. Okay, so when you hit someone and you deal damage, you check the wound tables. Now, keep in mind, this Norco machine pistol is in fact is very basic pistol, and its damage multiplier is times 15. So that kind of gives you the idea that the weakest weapon is actually enough to deal you at least a serious flesh wound with just 1 damage multiplier. Keep that in mind. So if you score less than the flesh wound value, you don't actually do anything to your enemy. But if you reach this number or exceed it, you make 1 flesh wound, or you take 1 flesh wound and take 1 point of the system shock table. Okay? Now when you reach or exceed this number representing deep wound, 30 or more in this case, you impose a deep wound and take 2 points of system shock value. If you run out of those, you're dead. If you also reach or exceed this number of instant death, which is double the stamina, you instantly kill your opponent. What means that Boris, exceeding his enemy 3 times and having damage multipliers times 3 margin of success points, deals exactly 60 points of damage. That is enough to kill this bad guy. However, this dude wears an armor that is light flak suit. So wearing this armor means that you get to sum those values up. So in order to flesh wound someone in light flak suit, you'll have to at least deal 35 damage points. To deep wound someone, you will have to deal at least 50 damage points. And to instant kill someone, you would have to impose at least 80 damage points. Well, Boris did 60 damage points. That is, he dealt a deep wound. Well, his enemy is very bad shape, and now he takes the penalty of -2 to every action and roll he takes, including his attacks rolls and stuff. So as you can see, it can be very deadly, it can be very ruthless, and actually having the margin of success and damage multipliers only gives you the idea of critical hits. You don't need to roll or any special table or rule. You have everything listed right here. If you dealt 1 damage multiplier, well, then it's just a flesh wound. You just shoot the guy in the leg or in his shoulder or something. If you exceeded it 3 or 4 times, in case of 4 times, well, that would be like a headshot. You don't need special tables to tell you that. You have everything listed here, and every skilled GM can use that only to narrate all the battle. That's what I really like about Silhouette System.